Troll Invaders Rant! What's up with the a-hole invaders invading me and using some spell that breaks all my gear? 3 times it's happened, and I'm borderline about to just give up. I'm still new to the game, and it's a huge deterrent having to grind for 2 hours just to repair my gear. Crying emoji. I've only just cleared 1-1, 2-1, and 3-1. Right after finally killing the idol, after like 10 plus attempts, I get invaded and everything is broken within 3 minutes. Huge game breaker for me, and games rarely get under my skin like this. He was clearly much stronger than me. I don't even have the souls to upgrade equipment or anything. Ugh. Edit. Also, I have my game password protected, but still get invaded? 100% upvoted. Sheesh. You are probably dealing with twinks. They trade for endgame gear and stay at low levels in order to wreck new players. Unfortunately, there's a segment of the Souls community that thinks this is okay because anything goes in invasions. Like, I get that invasions are part of the game and they're technically not breaking any rules, but they are essentially circumventing the level invasion gap by acquiring OP gear just to pick on people weaker than that are. Says a lot about their personality, TBH. Shame, too, because Souls PvP, as broken and unfair as it sometimes is, can actually be quite fun if people aren't trolls. I still remember an epic 30-minute PvP match with multiple opponents as one of the best moments I had in Dark Souls 3. So far, though, I'm finding so many damn people with the scraping spear, and I don't have time for that nonsense. I can understand that frustration. I have tried to be honorable every time I invade, and I wouldn't attack the host if, say, he's fighting the enemies, or has HP reduced due to environmental damage. This might be unfair, and an abuse of game mechanism, but one thing you could always do to banish the Black Phantom is just to hit save and exit, and then continue. Well, hello, and welcome to my first video on the Souls series. I've been playing these games for a few years now, since the Dark Souls 1 days, although I think when I got into the game, Dark Souls 2 was already out, and very quickly I fell in love with invasions. Everything about them, the way that they play is just so unique to the series. And so, over the years of doing some invasions, I've developed some thoughts about them, and some feelings about what people want out of them. Balance is a subject that comes up constantly in the subject of invasions, or really just in the subject of Demon Souls or Souls PvP in general. Constantly. No matter where you look. Whether it's talking about the balance between weapons, weapon types, talking about matchmaking, soul level matchmaking versus soul memory matchmaking, all of that. I've noticed, in particular with the portion of the community that is more concerned about dueling than invasions, balance is a particularly touchy subject. There is an unwritten code of honor, which can vary from person to person, but I've seen extend to notions like always bowing to your opponent. Of course, bowing is like what you think of first when you think of duel etiquette. But there are also people who have gone as far as to say that you should also allow your opponent to buff. In some cases, buffing multiple times with a body buff and a weapon buff and whatever else they might want to do, allowing them to apply their second chance or their tears of denial or what have you. And sometimes this mentality extends outside of those duel arenas and becomes expected of invaders just at large. Now, I can tell you what will happen to an invader 5 out of 5 times that he bows. He's really likely just to be attacked en masse by a whole bunch of phantoms. Because if you're dueling individuals as an invader, it's only a duel for as long as the phantoms allow it to be, right? Right. We've all heard that one before. Similarly, I have been asked via private message after an invasion why I healed. And of course the answer to that is, of course I'm going to heal. I didn't challenge you to a duel, we're not in the arena. I invaded you. All bets are off. Which brings me to the Scraping Spear and Acid Cloud and other such strange effects that people have so many impassioned feelings toward. I absolutely love them. I love them so much. This goes for any strange weapon or interesting effect that kind of circumvents the idea of balanced PvP. Balanced PvP is not what I come to these games for. I like to see events unfold in an unexpected way. And in regard to strange effects, Demon Souls is probably the fullest. The weapons are so experimental and different. Everything is just so unique in this game. And that's because this game was developed without a PvP community really in mind. The PvP was always intended to just organically be a part of the single-player experience, and that is what the game is focused on. A single-player experience with intermingling encounters between friend and foe. And as a result, you have some of the most unique and diverse tools of any game in the Soulsborne series. And so that brings me to the Scraping Spear. The Scraping Spear is something that has never happened again. There's never been anything else like it. And for reasons that we can all understand, right? It sucks when somebody comes into your world and breaks all of your things. Ostensibly, it sucks. I honestly don't think it's actually that bad, though. It's not difficult just to make your way back to a blacksmith. I understand that if somebody scrapes you and breaks all of your armor and weapons and basically ruins your run, it can be frustrating. But is that really so different from just dying anyway? Either way, you're going to be set back, and that's just part of what happens in these games. The invader gets you, and you're set back a little bit in progress. So in that sense, the Scraping Spear really isn't very different from being killed. It's just a lot more drawn out and arduous, at least if your opponent is using a build that can't actually wield the spear and just wants to chip at your armor with it, like I am right here. The biggest difference between being killed and being scraped by the Scraping Spear is that unique situations can come as a result of something like the Scraping Spear, if you are keen to explore them. Now, right off the bat, you're not going to get your gear destroyed by a scraping spear most of the time, unless you're AFK or something, at which point you shouldn't have been AFK while human, if you were susceptible to invasions. But let's say that somebody comes and invades you and starts attacking you with the scraping spear. Kill them. It really is that simple. There's really nothing else to it. Outplay them, escape them, or kill them. They're not going to be doing meaningful damage to you if you aren't letting them. The scraping spear is going to damage all of your gear as they hit you, but you're not going to be taking damage until they decide to hit you with something that actually does damage. So it's your opportunity to take advantage of the fact that they're hitting you with basically a useless stick, and outplay them, or regroup in some other way than just allowing them to do what they're doing. They have to be able to maintain constant aggression on you, while at the same time not being killed by you, in order for the scraping spear to do anything meaningful. My opponent here could have, at any point, chosen to address the level, and I would have had to put the spear away and actually fight him. But instead, he chose to hang around near the archstone and not make progress, and keep on hammering away at an invader who is at least able to stay alive against their halberd while poking them with the spear, over and over and over again. But instead, he's more interested in trying to parry me a lot, and not moving into the level to engage with those enemies, and make me have to prioritize actually fighting him. At this point, you can see his weapons are completely destroyed. He's not doing damage to me anymore. And from here on, the fight becomes interesting. I'm not really one of those people who just wants to one-shot everyone. I'll bust out the Northern Regalia when I see that there's a bunch of phantoms, especially over-leveled phantoms. But for the most part, I talk about balance, but I really wasn't prepared for that weapon. I'd never made a Northern Regalia build with the original Legion swords, and so I decided it was something that I'd love to try. And oh man, I did not expect it to be nearly as strong as it is. It takes the Chaos Infusion concept and just dials it up by zillion damage. It relies on your character tendency. That's how it scales. It doesn't scale with your stats at all. But as an invader, you're going to move to pure black very quickly, and at that point the Northern Regalia is going to be as powerful as it's going to be. But in the interest of wanting to have a fun invasion and take advantage of those unique circumstances that I previously touched on, I decided I would take this guy on with fists. And he met me on that offer. This was a lot of fun to play. I wanted to start practicing with the mechanics of unarmed fighting, and just really start playing with that moveset while this happened. You can see he's still got a shield. I really wanted to embrace just no weapons. And that's what I did. I did give him the plague with the baby's nail, but that was before I decided that I wanted to go all in on this fist fight, and the way I see it, that's just compensating for his health bonus as a human host. And the fact that he's got a shield and I don't. So, in order to do any damage, you basically have to either get a backstab or you have to parry, and that's just how it is. And you've got to do it sequentially. So this is going to last for a while, but it's not something that would have ever happened organically unless people had verbally agreed ahead of time that this was the kind of fight that they wanted to have happen without the scraping spear. So, just as a result of that, I'm really grateful for Demon Souls and how experimental its weapons and spells are. The things that you can do in this game, you just can't do in any of the other games in the series. It creates a game that changes every time you play it, if you allow it to. And of course, if you don't want to deal with things like this, you don't have to. You can always play offline or just play in soul form. That's your password protection. For anybody who doesn't understand, and I'm only saying this because of the thread that I posted at the beginning of this video, you will not be spared invaders because you put in a password. A password will just make sure that anybody else using the password will be able to get into your world, regardless of their level. Actually, having a password will also open you up to invasion, even if your bosses are dead. So that's something to think about if you're trying to avoid Black Phantoms like me, or Scraping Spears and their Northern Gamias. But then why would you? There is so much fun to be had, and it's the kind of thing that you can only get from this series. So, why not embrace it? Why not enjoy it? Sometimes a little bit of chaos is fun too. And if you're looking for a more balanced experience, you can either turn the tides in your favor by summoning your friends, or by preparing your weapon ahead of time. Or, you can always play a game that's designed with balanced PvP in mind. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on this matter. I'm going to leave you with some music to finish the rest of this fight to, if you'd like to see how it ends. Have a good one. Take care.